It was a tough weekend at Camp Randall, despite another outstanding defensive performance from Josh Jackson, who intercepted his 5th pass in just 2 games. The lack of offense from the Hawks, coupled with Wisconsin's penetrating offensive line, was just too much for Iowa, who dropped 38-14. The Badgers are ranked nationally as one of the top 5 defensive teams in the country, and they certainly showed that on Saturday as they easily stopped the Hawkeye offense. DITV's Lucy Rodin takes a closer look at what went wrong.
For the Iowa offense, the past 2 weeks have been a tale of 2 completely separate teams. Against Ohio State, Iowa was able to put up 55 points on the board and shut down the Buckeye defense. But against Wisconsin, the Hawks fell flat, only producing 66 yards of total offense, which is the lowest in Kirk Ferentz's tenure.
Two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. So, obviously, we want to feel the experience that we had, last weekend again, and not this one again. So, I think we all know what we need to do to move on and, learn from it and have the same experience that we had against Ohio State.
With this performance, Iowa football has circled back to the same dilemma it has faced all season: the offense's inability to replicate what the defense is doing on the field.
It's frustrating. We need to be more consistent, on offense. The defense, we got to be more complimentary of the defense. They played a really good game. And it was sometimes where we could have capitalized on a mistake like a turnover, and we didn't, So it's just a matter of us executing at all positions.
Well, it's kind of been us this season, when our execution, we're not good enough offensively not to execute cleanly. So, little misthrows, little inches make a difference there. And when we do play clean football, we have a chance to do some good things.
Iowa's next opponent, the Purdue Boilermakers, rank in the bottom half of the conference in defense. So the Hawkeye offense will have an opportunity to bounce back. Reporting from Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin, this is Lucy Rodin for DITV Sports.
The Hawks' 66 yards of total offense was the second lowest in Iowa football history. Iowa now sits at 3-4 in conference play, so these final 2 games against Purdue and Nebraska are crucial to where Iowa will end up during bowl season. It was a big weekend in Hawkeye sports and an even bigger weekend for individual honors for some Hawkeye athletes. Luka Garza was named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Garza had 16 points and shot 100% from the field against Chicago State in the Hawks season opener. In their second game versus Alabama State, Garza had his first collegiate double-double with 11 points and 13 rebounds in just 16 minutes against the Hornets. Iowa's Megan Gustafson was named the Big Ten Player of the Week in the Hawks season opener against Quinnipiac. Gustafson had 16 points and went 7 from 9 from the field in an overtime win against Western Kentucky. Gustafson had a career-high 35 points and 17 rebounds. The forward scored her 1,000th career point against the Hilltoppers. And Josh Jackson picked up his second straight Big Ten Co-Defensive Player of the Week accolade. The junior quarterback had 2 interceptions and forced a fumble in the Hawks' loss to the Badgers. He also added 3 tackles and a pass breakup in Madison. Jackson is the first Hawkeye to ever win Defensive Player of the Week honors in consecutive weeks, and he now leads the nation in interceptions and passes defended. Josh's draft stock is definitely rising, so this weekend's Senior Day matchup against Purdue could possibly be Jackson's last game in Kinnick. The Iowa women's basketball team is 2-0 after advancing in the Hawkeye Invitational. Here's what the team had to say about their strong start.
I think we beat 2 very good basketball teams in Quinnipiac and Western Kentucky, and teams that will most likely both be in the NCAA tournament by the end of the year. I take that, my team's here to compete. My team's here to win, and they're going to put up their best shot all the time.
I think we're in great shape, being able to go back-to-back games, especially the second game going into overtime, kudos to our strength and conditioning coach, Coach D. Just being able to be gritty, we kind of showed that in the past 2 games, and we just got to keep that going, keep that energy, and keep the focus going.
I think we did a great job of playing together this weekend. Obviously, we saw Kathleen go down, so just being ready to step up that for, Wednesday, and get ready to prepare for our next opponent.
The Hawks will be back in action as they take on Northern Illinois tomorrow night at 7 in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Tune in tomorrow for updates from wrestling's media availability today and highlights from the intramural wheelchair basketball game. Guys, back to you at the desk.